Hi guys, welcome back to Geeks Wargaming, and for the first video in a series of Blood Bowl Tactica videos. I am joined today by AndyDavo. Those of you that don't know who Andy is actually a Twitch streamer of Blood Bowl 2, and he is also pretty handy at tabletop, hence him being on the channel today. Andy is ranked 5th in the NAF rankings, and has recently come back from the Euro Bowl in Portugal, and you finished 2nd, was it?
2nd was in Sweden, which was last year.
Oh right, okay, 2nd in Sweden. There we go. So yeah, still pretty
good.
He's fairly decent. He's fairly decent. So I've asked Andy to come onto the channel and do some tactical videos. So this first video will be on defensive setups. So let's see what Andy's recommendation is. So here we are pitch side, and we have our defensive team for the purpose of this video. Andy is going to be showing you all the defensive setups. We're going to run through 3 of the most popular ones which Andy uses, and the ones that you will come across in most tournaments. So the team that you see in front of you is actually a Dark Elf team, and this is built in line with what you would usually see at a tournament. So we'll just run you through what the players are here. So from left to right we have 2 Witch Elves, we have 3 Blitzers here. These are all Line Elves, and then we have 1 Thrower on the left. For the purpose of this video, the 3 setups that we're going to show you will be 1 for a team defending against a fast team, 1 defending against a bashy team, and 1 defending against a sort of a hybrid team. The first opponents for the Dark Elves in this lineup will be humans, so this is your typical sort of hybrid team. So again, from left to right we have 4 Blitzers, 3 linemen, the ogre, a thrower, and 2 catchers. The observant people from the last clip will notice that I mentioned a Dark Elf thrower. I actually meant a Dark Elf runner. So hopefully you haven't commented yet. Just to let you know, this is the ball, so it's nice and visible on the camera. When it is green, somebody has picked it up, so you just place the miniature on top of it. When it is red, it is a loose ball. Andy has set up his elves in the AndyDavo patented Smiley Face formation we're going with. So I am now going to set up my humans in my offensive formation. So I have set up as probably a beginner coach would set up against Andy's defensive line. Andy, do you want to just show us what you would do differently for that offensive setup?
Yeah, sure. So the first couple of things that we want to look to do probably is bring these 2 players onto the line of scrimmage, so you can throw some additional blocks. And also we need to take these 2 players here and these 2 players just here and bring them in a square. Because where they are now, we can bring a lineman in here and then the Witch Elf can run across, and then we can actually, because we've got Frenzy, we can surf the player off the pitch. So they're the 2 blocks that you would see, and then you're a player down on your first move. So let's just correct that slight problem up. You might actually want to go for something like this, which then actually also protects the 2 catchers. There we go, back to normal.
Okay, great. So with that now advanced offensive lineup, the ball is, as you can see at the back there, we'll presume that it's bounced a couple of squares back. So I will now actually just sort of play it without rolling any dice. We'll just presume that all blocks have been successful and the ball is picked up and dodges are successful, that type of thing, just for sort of the positioning. So if I was to work with this, my sort of first moves would probably be knock this guy down using this lineman, knock this guy down using this lineman. I'd probably leave the ogre till a little bit later because he has the loner trait, which if I fail that result, then you're going to have to sort of roll a 4+ just to re-roll it. So it's a little bit high risk. So I tend to use ogres last. The next thing I try and do is I try and probably pressurise the back line, get behind his line of defence. So I'd probably look at moving up a blitzer to sort of around here. And then maybe causing a blitz here, knocking him down, and then coming to probably around here, and then moving up a catcher. So I'm causing problems in the back there. I would then also probably do something similar. Now this is quite an aggressive, but this is how I tend to play. So again, something similar, just so I've got a couple of receivers. This probably would have been my first move actually to support the ball, and then I would have picked up the ball and probably just kept it in the backfield there, and then I would have done that block. This guy probably would have dropped back just to do a little bit of support. So yeah, how would this defensive line then respond to that?
Okay, so the advantage we've got here is the Dark Elves are all in the centre of the field, and as you can see, you've instantly had to run down both of the flanks. The Dark Elves' main strength here is that they've got 2 frenzy players, and so if you are competent, you should be able to start engineering ways of pushing the humans out off the pitch, or at least making it very uncomfortable for them, because they're lower agility and therefore they struggle to move around a little bit. So you have a number of ways you can actually respond to this. I think what you first of all need to do is you need to go and put some pressure on the ball over there, otherwise the human coach can do whatever he wants. So I think what I would do is I would take at least one player and move forward, so take a blitzer and push him over to around about here. Also take a witch elf with you, and actually if you can just do something where you can screen the witch elf from being blitzed in the following turn, then you're still putting pressure on with a very dangerous player, but she can't be hit particularly easily. So let's just play out the rest of what I might do. I'm assuming for a moment that you haven't actually stunned any of my players. Notice that all of this is doing all the moves first without rolling any dice. So currently not rolled any dice at all, and there's no risk attached to what I've done. As Blood Bowl is a very risk management game. Right, let's just stand you up. We'll do a blitz here, and we'll again assume there's a knockdown. And what that's doing is it's letting me go and put a little bit more pressure on the ball. So we've got pressure on both flanks. And then it's just a question of, do we want to induce you to score quickly or not? So we'll just go something like this. There we go. That would be I'll just stand you up and bring you over there. So what I've done there is I've conceded the fact that you can score on 2 turns if that's what you want to do. But we've also put a lot of pressure on the ball. You've also got the problem where your team is a little bit split. So you've got 4 players in scoring position, some players in the middle of the field, and then some players at the back there. So do you want to just play out your next turn?
Yeah, I'd probably sort of respond by covering this off in some way, like that. Move this guy across here. Use my blitzer to get rid of this guy. And then I'd probably move up. We're not obviously counting squares, so if I am moving more than their 6, just, you know, this is just purely for demonstration purposes. This guy would obviously stand up, cause some issues here. And then I'd probably move my thrower just behind this pocket here. He'd probably be more like that. And then I'd probably, because I know that you can sweep round quite easily there, and also you have this part, you'd probably force me to go for a longer pass. So I'd probably be looking at this guy for a receiver just to try and get a 2-turn touchdown.
So in that element where you can see where you've got a newer coach or a rookie coach, the elf coach here has forced the humans to make that's probably something like either a 4 or a 5+ pass, a 3+ catch to score on their second turn. We did originally have the thrower back here, And if we just quickly count some squares, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, with 2 go for it, I'm actually threatening the end zone. So no matter where if you ran backwards, no matter where you stand, I can angle an attack on you. So you've got to put the ball carrier behind the screen. Okay. So the splitting up of your team there is the tactical element that I'm looking for.
Okay, and also I guess because you're forcing me to go for this 2-turn touchdown, the ball is either going to scatter here because I've failed to make the pass. Yep. It could scatter around this area because it's an inaccurate pass. It could scatter off the catcher because he's failed to catch it. So the ball from this scenario is basically recoverable by the elves in the next turn quite easily.
Yep.
So yeah,
there's also an interception. Just in this particular scenario, you've got that line elf there that intercepts on a 5+. So it's fraught with risk, I think, is probably the...
Yeah. So the reason why that defensive setup is good, Andy, do you want to sort of talk us through? But basically, it protects your high value players. So you saw that the witch elves were at the back row of the smiley face, but it also forces your opponent to, or not forces, but more tempts your opponent to come round the outside like I've done here, which then can expose that risk.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I just wanted to talk through the reasoning we've gone for the smiley face defense here, and also any little tweaks we can do, and the strengths and weaknesses of it. So we've put on the line of scrimmage. We're just displaying the 5 humans we've got here. So we've got the ogre, 2 blitzers in the middle, and then 2 linemen at the edge. And we've got the smiley face. The first thing to note here is that the 5 most highly valued players on the Dark Elf team are along the back here, and then the blitzer here is the 6th. So to hit any one of those in the first turn is a little bit more challenging than knocking over the line of scrimmage or the 2 remaining linemen here and here. The other thing that I've done is I've centralised the line of scrimmage, and that's fine, but if you roll a perfect defence, what we might be able to do is move this lineman to here. We could move this lineman to here, so you're only going to get 1 hit, and then you might want to move this here so it doesn't get hit by the ogre. But just imagine for a second that we'd actually set up an off-centre defence, and I'll just drag the line of scrimmage across to mirror that. And then we also roll a perfect defence. What you guys might be able to notice is that we can then take those 3 line of scrimmage players and we can actually move them onto the other side. And what that will do is it means that your line of scrimmage blocks, you won't get 2 players hit at all, and you're only going to get 1 of your 3 line of scrimmage players hit. So quick agile teams can take real advantage of this trick by setting up their line of scrimmage just to one side or the other. There is one slight downside to this particular setup, and that is these 2 players here, that if your opponent has got a dirty player or is intent on fouling you, what they can do is they can just run a lineman round here, and then a blitzer can run round the back here and just blitz you into this square here. Your player is lying down, and then you could pull in the rest of these squares with assists and foul from one of these 2 squares here, and you will pick up a lot of assists and effectively mean that you're almost rolling a free injury roll.
So here you see Andy is using the chevron formation. He's using this against Skaven with them being a faster team. I've set up loosely how I would with a couple of gutter runners on the wing. My plan with this setup is to, again, like you saw with the humans, I would come round the edges with some of the gutter runners, but I would probably run deeper with the thrower supported by maybe a lineman or a gutter runner to try and force my opponent to come deep, knowing that I've got a lot of pace to sort of run round and outpace them.
So we've gone for the chevron defence here, and the reason we've gone for that is to stop the gutter runners running freely down either of the flanks. The weaknesses, unfortunately, to this defence are that we've actually now, instead of covering 5 players who had in the smiley face defence, the 2 players that can't get hit now are only these 2 here, the runner, and I've opted to defend one of the 2 witch elves. You'll notice that the other witch elf, we could get hit and could be blitzed on 2 dice if a guard player was in this square here, and then you could blitz from this square here. We've also gone for 3 players on the line of scrimmage centrally. What we could do against this Skaven team, because there's no rat ogre, we could actually just do what we did in the last clip and bring these 3 players asymmetrically off to one side. If there was a rat ogre in here with the frenzy, this guy could get blocked, then hit with a rat ogre if there was one there, 1, 2, could again get blitzed to here, and if we got someone waiting just there, you would then see that that player would get removed before I've even moved, which would be a disaster.
So playing through the Skaven offense, I would start with some diagonal blocks. This blitzer in the centre would hit this guy with an assist for a 2 die here, punch him down like that, so that would be him actioned. Then this blitzer would hit this guy with the assist here for another one, and then that would leave obviously another diagonal block that I can do over here. I'd probably use this guy to push this guy onto the line of scrimmage there, so he's still contacting those 2 blitzers, so giving him a dodge or he's going to have to fight. That then leaves me just a 2+ dodge to get into the centre of the field with my gutter runner, so I'd move around kind of like this and set up probably around here. If I had the movement, I'd move, if this was set slightly further forward, I'd try and move to maybe support in the middle, because the chevrons have, it's not giving me the sideline. That's why I'm trying to go into the centre to receive there. I'd then probably, knowing that the elves have got a little bit of pace, I'd probably drop back with the ball carrier, maybe with a gutter runner as well, as I said. So if he commits heavily to the back, I can sort of streak round and try and get one of my my receivers open in some way. This one would probably come round here, so to maybe go through a gap there. So Andy, do you want to show us how the defence works?
Yeah, sure. So first thing, let's just bring some safe moves first. So I'm going to bring a blitzer in here because he's got block, so we're threatening one of the gutter runners. I'm going to bring a witch elf in here. Then we're going to bring a runner around here. I'm going to bring a lineman in to here. And then I'm actually going to throw a 3 dice block because notice his gutter runner's a strength 2. I've got 2 assists here, so I'm 3, 4, 5, so more than twice the strength of the gutter runner. I can do a block, and so although it's got dodge, I've got a better chance of knocking it over. And what I've done there is I have then put both of those gutter runners and surrounded them with dark elves. The remainder of the turn will be very similar to the turn the humans you saw with the humans, where I'm going to put up a little bit of a loose screen, and then I'm going to go and threaten the ball again. So we'll bring a witch elf around to here, and again we'll bring a thrower around there. A blitzer around to there, and then we'll dodge this guy away from contact, and we'll just bring him across. We could actually go to 3, because notice that the weakest point in this is this guy here. So I've made that a little bit stronger than the rest of the screen.
So on my next turn, this is made it very difficult for me. I'm struggling for ideas here because my 2 receivers are really pinned down here. So I'd now be maybe trying to focus on getting these safe, but equally with what's happened here, I've got pressure on the ball carrier, and my entire line of scrimmage at the front there is completely redundant, and the maximum I can get is sort of 1 block out of them if I do a blitz. So Andy, just from repositioning from his defensive formation there, he's really in the driver's seat, and it's made it from me looking like potentially getting an easy touchdown to putting a lot of pressure on my ball carrier and my receivers, and I'm going to have to really reposition to try and do that. What then I'm being forced to do really is probably drop this line of scrimmage back, maybe try and cage up with the ball in some way, and then just try and sort of keep the gutter runners out of trouble for any sort of receiving that I can. So that's probably what I would go with. But then from that, because I can't score quickly, it's going to be a slower grind up the pitch, which if you're a faster team, generally lightly armoured, I'm sure Andy could probably take advantage and start beating on me a little bit more. So here is the third setup. This is probably my favourite one because Andy has nicely named this one the Space Invader. So I really like that. I'm going to use the Space Invader all the time now, just because it's got a cool name. Okay, so this is a lineup that you would use against a more bashy team, would you say, Andy?
Yeah, it is. This is the standard defensive setup, but I just want to point out a couple of things here that I would slightly tweak just because of the specific team we're playing against. We'll notice here that we've got the two witch elves, and they're actually forming part of the corner there. Against this particular team, as it is very likely that you'll have a tackle player, I'm just going to withdraw these two players to make them safe. And because we'd also got three big guys, I would just space out the line of scrimmage. The reason for spacing out the line of scrimmage is that it then means to get 3 dice blocks on all of those with the three big guys, you've got to commit an awful lot of players to the line of scrimmage. I'll just reset it and we'll leave them as they are for the purpose of the video, but I did want to just point that out.
Right, so I'll start my offense with a blitz. So I'd move him there. This guy would then run in to here, blitz here. If he gets the knockdown, then great, he's there. If he doesn't, he can push him back. That's then providing the assist, so big guy can punch. If he doesn't punch again, if he doesn't punch him down, then he can push him here, so I can then punch him again if needs be. So let's just presume that's happened. And then obviously across this line, the troll can then punch this guy, and then the Minotaur can frenzy this guy along the line until he knocks him down. So let's just presume that both of these guys have been decimated, probably in hospital by now, because my absolutely monstrous big guys. I'd then be, with this team, with it having the strength in the middle with the three big guys, I'd probably look at maybe screening off here. Ball carrier would sort of move to around here, and then he would probably just, I guess kind of move, well, just in support there really, something like that. So Andy's got to run round, and I'm fairly safe in the middle, would you say, Andy?
Yeah, I think that the only thing, the question of where you would put the ball carrier is that these blitzers here are the actual threatening pieces. They come around here like a pincer attack. So all you're going to want to do in your first turn is, we know that these blitzers can move 7 squares. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, plus 2 go for it. So you just want to be somewhere maybe a little bit further back, just there, because then you're safe.
Yeah.
I can't base you even with 2 go for it. And then you've got free movement to do whatever you like.
Okay.
That player, then you can do whatever you want with him.
Probably go more that way for a screen, maybe.
Yeah, he's fine. You can do whatever you want.
Cool. So do you want to show us how you'd sort of break out of this with this defence?
Okay, so let's just make sure we've got everyone in the right squares. So what I want to do, I want to go and put some pressure on the ball again. So let's see what we can do. Take the blitzer, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we'll bring the blitzer around to here. I'm not doing these necessarily in the right order. I would want to do all the non-dice moves first, but this is just to see if we can prove the positioning. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, if we notice here, you've got 4 players all in a little square. Although my 2 elves are lying down, what we might be able to do is do something where we can break these elves out and push them through the line of scrimmage. So I'm just looking at that for a moment and seeing what I can actually do here, while I'm just going to carry on moving the last of the players. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now notice that's a dangerous square because the Minotaur could come along and serve. So I'm sort of forced into only bringing the Witch Elf as far forward as that, or making go for it. So we'll just bring the Witch Elf to somewhere near that sort of square there. What else could we do? We could do... notice I need to stand in that square there if I want to form up a square here. And I'm just looking to see whether we can shove anyone through. It looks like my first assessment of we can shove someone through isn't really actually valid, unfortunately. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll just bring him round. I'll just bring you round to here. We'll do a blitz. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll assume that was successful straight away. So 5 to hit, 6, 7. Blitzer can come across a little bit, and we'll dodge these elves out. So up, and then you come back to here, and then I've got a question: do I want to take the dodges on these two for 3 pluses? So maybe this one, 1, 2, 3, That's the aggressive play. Or do I want to bring him backwards to try and give myself some screen? You can do those in whichever order you prefer.
So would you say, Andy, that this is probably one of the harder matchups for the Elves, because obviously with it being quite a high strength bash team?
This particular matchup, if we were talking a tournament play, so we're just going to assume that the big guys have got a few skills and the Marauders have got a few skills. The Elves would be alright here unless the three big guys really go to town on the Elves and start removing them. So in this example, I've still got all my 11 Elves after the first turn. But if all of a sudden, I just pick these players and just take them off the field because they were KO'd or casualtied, all of a sudden that looks a lot weaker, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You could run your Dark Elf forwards, you could make your cage, and the three big guys just keep hitting Elves. So it comes down to what happens on the line of scrimmage and how much attrition you take early on.
Yeah. So from that play, obviously you're putting pressure onto the ball carrier at the back there. So my next turn would probably look something like this, in some sort of cage, potentially, like that, and slowly grind you up the pitch. So I guess, is that when you would drop into sort of an elf screening play?
Yeah, so I've still got the three elves that you've managed to remove in the first turn, and we're assuming that they're not on the field. So now the elves have got a choice. They can either do the elf screens, which is typically where you have two players like this, and another two here, and another two like that. So you're making it just in the way. You're just going to get in the way. Or what you can do is you can try and base the ball. And what you might do here is just take a player around the corner here, just mark the back of the cage, and then take a blitzer. And if you're being really aggressive, you probably do it like this. So you go blitz, and then come in here, and you can now blitz this guy, hopefully knock him over. And the ball is now based. And if you're being really aggressive, you might base the back of the cage as well. And so you're making it really difficult, or you're putting a lot of pressure on. What that will happen over a few turns is that Marauders will slowly get left behind, and instead of the cage having all of your 11 players in the field, you now, these two are going to be gone next turn, and the turn after there might be another one you've isolated out, and another one. And so although you're not actually removing players, you're removing them from the actual game as the cage gets forward, and maybe down to about turn 6, you might actually be able to threaten the ball and pop it loose, potentially. Okay, so here we've got the standard Space Invader. The actual strength of this particular setup is that if you're playing against a team which is quite fouly, in the first turn, the only players they can realistically get a decent foul on are the three line of scrimmage players here. And the reason for that is that if you wanted to blitz one of these three players here, which you can hit any of them, and the same on this side, you might want to go something like this. So let's bring a player in round for an assist. I'm just going to assume that he's got guard. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you blitz, and you get lucky, and he falls over to there. The most amount of assists you can actually get are 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, depending on what happens to that line of scrimmage block. But the downside is that you've left your players in base-to-base contact, so you're going to commit and you're going to receive some hits back on the next turn. The weaknesses to this particular setup are in the same way that the Smiley Face has a weakness, which is we've completely conceded both of the sidelines. If you're playing the Dark Elf team where you want your opponent to go down the sidelines, that's totally fine. Against maybe if you're playing as Dwarves, or are you playing as a slow team where you can't necessarily move across the pitch, that might be a little bit more of a problem. But that's the relative strengths of that setup.
So there we go then, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that defensive Tactica kind of Tactica video by Andy. So thanks very much for coming on the channel.
No problem.
Andy is going to be hanging around to do some other videos for us. So we're going to be doing some offensive ones and also some sort of little quirky special plays and things like that. So remember to check out Andy's channel. We'll put a link down below. He's got his YouTube channel, he's also got his Twitch channel, so definitely go and check those out. You'll pick up a lot more there from what you've just seen today. But just thanks for watching, guys. Remember to like and comment on the video, and subscribe if you haven't. Also, if you haven't already entered our competition, we are pushing for 10,000 subscribers at the moment. There is a big prize, £100 worth of vouchers, plus a prize bundle of geek stuff. So if you're interested in that and you haven't already subscribed, follow the link down below for that video as well. So thanks for watching again, guys, and we will see you in the next one.